It is 4:02. I will call the meeting to order. Please stand to sing O Canada. Please be seated. We'll begin with the roll call.
Mayor Sue Patterson,
Present.
Deputy Mayor Warren Dickert,
Present.
Councillor Harold Fleet,
Present.
Councillor Dave Hawking,
Present.
Councillor Carol Hudson,
Present.
Councillor Brandon Cable,
Present.
Councillor Susan Sacco.
Present. Thank you. All members are accounted for. The land acknowledgement. As we work toward reconciliation with Indigenous people, we begin our meeting today by respectfully acknowledging that we are situated on the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe Nation, the people of Three Fires known as Ojibwe, Odawa, and Potawatomi nations. And further give thanks to the Chippewas of Saugeen and the Chippewas of Nawash, now known as the Saugeen Ojibwe Nation, as the traditional keepers of this land. So welcome to our regular council meeting for Monday, October 6th, 2025. Good afternoon, council, staff, guests, the viewing public, and the media. Council, does anyone have a disclosure of pecuniary interest or a conflict of interest? Seeing none, if one should arise during the meeting, you may declare it then. Item 5, we do not have any additions or deletions to our agenda. And our health and safety message brought to us by Councillor Cable, it demonstrates the town's commitment to safety, to staff, and our residents. It is intended to raise awareness of potential risks, promote safe practices, and help prevent injuries, illnesses, and fatalities. Councillor Cable.
Thank you, Your Worship. Our health and safety message is about recognizing spoofing. Spoofing is a tactic in which a cyber criminal disguises malicious communication or activity as something from a trusted source. Cyber criminals use spoofing to fool victims into giving up sensitive information, money, or downloading malware. Here are the main types of spoofing used by fraudsters. The first is caller ID spoofing. Fraudsters can make it appear a call or message is from a legitimate phone number, such as your bank, Canada Revenue Agency, or even a family member. Email spoofing. Fraudsters can manipulate the sender's email address to make you believe that the email you're receiving is from a legitimate source. Website spoofing. Cyber criminals will create fake websites that look legitimate to try to access your financial or personal information. How to protect yourself from spoofing. Never assume that the phone numbers appearing on your caller ID are accurate. When someone claims to be contacting you from your financial institution, service provider, or government agency, don't provide any information over the phone. Never click on links received via text message or email. When visiting a website, always identify the URL and domain to make sure that you are on the official website. If you're not sure whether you are receiving a legitimate communication, do what you can to verify it. For example, if you get an email claiming to be from your bank, look up the bank's phone number online and give them a call to verify the message or request. If you are a victim of a spoofed message or website, report it to the Canadian Anti-Fraud Centre and your local police.
Thank you, Councillor Cable. All right, moving on with the agenda, we have 3 public meetings this afternoon, and I am just going to ask Andrew, would it be appropriate to wait for Melanie Scott? She has not signed on, or? Okay. Is that correct, Tanya? Yes. Yeah. Okay, our first public meeting under the Planning Act is to consider zoning bylaw amendment file number Z125 265 10th Avenue. I'll ask the clerk for the method of notice of the meeting and the dates of that notice.
Hello, it's Melanie here. I am now joined as a panelist and available in the meeting.
Thank you, Melanie.
Sorry, Mayor Patterson, I'm just having difficulty getting the agenda item up. Zoning bylaw amendment was circulated. The notice of public meeting was circulated on September 15th, 2025 to all applicable agencies and persons required by Section 34 of the Planning Act 1990. Circulation of the notice of public meeting included abutting property owners within 120 meters of the subject land and was also posted on the subject land. Notice was also posted on the town's website.
Thank you. And now I'll ask Andrew Wilkin, Director of Development and Infrastructure, also our CBO, to give an overview of the item. Andrew?
Thank you, Your Worship. On August 26, 2025, Melanie Scott, agent for 265 10th Ave. Melanie is on the call today as well. My understanding, just to answer any questions, is not going to do a presentation. Submitted an application to amend zoning on lands known as 265 10th Ave in Hanover. This amendment proposes to rezone the lands from an R1 residential type 1 to a residential type 3 zone with the ultimate intention on building a semi-detached dwelling. The proposal is to demolish a current single-family dwelling on the property as it stands today. The proposed application does meet all the requirements outlined in the comprehensive zoning bylaw within the R3 provisions. The amendment does make good land use or good use of existing lands within the town of Hanover. It does increase the density on a large estate style lot within the boundaries with adequate services that are available for the proposed infill lot. Therefore, town staff have no concerns with the application at hand here today. A consent application has been received separately for which we will proceed with following the results of a successful application here today. Planning Advisory Committee did hear this application on September 9th at their meeting. They did have no concerns at that time. There were no other comments received as a part of this application today. There are no financial implications as a part of this report, and the link to the strategic plan is balanced growth. Therefore, the recommendation before you is that report PB 1425, Public Meeting for Zoning Bylaw Amendment 3348-25 be received, and that council pass bylaw 3348-25 to rezone the land described as lot 15, 16, and part of 17, registered plan 752, and known as 265 10th Ave in the town of Hanover in the county of Gray from residential type 1 to residential type 3 zone. And I will answer any questions you may have. And if I can't, I will have Melanie chime in with some answers as well.
Thank you, Andrew. Members of the public will now be allowed to speak to the matter. All questions are to be addressed through the chair. Please state your name and address for the record. If there are any persons present who wish to make written submissions on the proposed bylaw amendment, they should file them now with the clerk to form part of the record. This is in the event there is an appeal to the Ontario Land Tribunal on this application. So the floor is now open. If anyone would like to ask questions or share comments, you're more than welcome. And if you are able, you could come to the podium, or if not, we will repeat your questions so everyone is aware of it. Okay.
Okay. My name is Lillian Maseko, and nervous.
Oh, don't be nervous. We're all friends, neighbors, residents of Hanover. Don't be nervous.
Dorothy and Harris were our closest friends, and we did a lot together. And when I saw that the trees came down, I was horrified. And then it wasn't until that sign came up that we can go against what is being done. This is a historical house. And I've been in it so many times, and I hate to see it demolished. And it's not in conformity with the rest of the neighborhood. Plus, there is a perfectly good house with the requirements that she wants on my street. It's a 2-apartment building by Whaling, a 3-lot, and a swimming pool. It's ready just to be moved into without destroying a perfectly good house. So that's all I want to say.
Okay, thank you. I'll go to Melanie on this. So Melanie,
thank you.
I'm not sure if you heard everything, did you? There was concerns about the trees being taken down and the house having a lot of history with it. Can you speak to that?
Yes, I absolutely can. Thank you for your comments and your concern. I totally appreciate those. And by all means, our clients are members of the community and neighborhood. They have every intention of retreeing the property, and we're also, saddened to have to let those go. The house currently, while it is a single family dwelling, it does have a series of issues related to it. It does contain asbestos, which will be remediated prior to demolition. So it's not a what we consider to be a necessarily serviceable home in that regard. The home is also a small home on a very large lot and could make room for greater density in terms of 2 semi-detached dwellings. Those dwellings are also intended to be fully accessible and barrier-free to serve the seniors community within Hanover, so that when our clients are also a senior looking to downsize and live in a accessible home, as well as serve the balance of the community for accessibility. We also specialize in sustainable design and construction. And so our method of construction is one that gives preference to environmental products and practices, as well as construction, and would be serving to provide a home that would last generations, and similarly be landscaped in addressing the concerns regarding the property, be landscaped in a similar manner to address future generations.
Thank you, Melanie. Andrew, did you want to comment?
Through your worship, not too much. We did speak about the trees that came down at the Planning Advisory Committee and spoke of what that tree planting program might look like, so to speak. As council knows, this property doesn't have site plan control under 10 units, so the town only has so much impact on that. But Melanie has spoken that there will be trees replanted, and how mature they are at the time, or how mature they become, is how a tree grows.
Thank you. I will ask a second time for the members of the public if anyone wishes to speak or further comment. I'll ask a final and third time before the floor is closed, if anyone would like to comment or speak. Go. Just wait. No, wait. If we don't have the microphones, then anyone online
Okay,
cannot
that's
hear
fine.
us.
Okay, sorry.
Okay.
I just looked a few things up for her prior to this. I grew up knowing Harris and Dorothy as a kid. And my dad was best friends with Harris. And so I just looked up some things in terms of the province of Ontario. There are criteria for historical designation. And I do believe that this home, without knowing about the asbestos, one of the first things is that association with significant events or people that contribute to the community's history. And Harris most definitely did. And the business did contribute to our community's history. So from that perspective, I think it would meet at least one of the criteria in terms of getting historical designation. I do have another question. Are they planning on making this also a commercial lot where seniors could be living there as well, outside of the immediate family?
No, so it is intended not to be a commercial property. It is a single, is a residential property, but it's intended to be designed so that it could be utilized by seniors in the future.
Okay.
It's
The only
not-
other thing
Not intended
that,
for commercial
sorry.
rental property. Yeah,
so it wouldn't be a rental property, correct?
it is not intended as a commercial rental property. That's
okay.
correct.
Okay. And the other issues that kind of came up when I was looking at how they designate something that has historical value is unique or rare architectural style. that whole neighborhood, all of the houses are all, most of them are bungalows. They're all made in the 60s and the 70s. And I guess the concern would be if you put in a new build, it's going to, because it's also in a very, very visible position right across from Match and right across from the slots. There is a concern that it will compromise the flavor to the neighborhood. And, you know, that lovely, you know, bungalow look that, you know, the Frank Lloyd Wright kind of, because that's a beautiful house with the fireplace in the center. And all of the houses in that area in a row are all in a very similar style. So I'm just concerned that putting in a new build, it's going to, you know, really stand out and compromise the architectural design of the neighborhood. Just keeping in mind beauty to some degree, because that's not always kept in mind in a town or a city. You can see what happens to Toronto. You know, beautiful builds are being torn down all the time, and there is value to a historical designation. So that's what I wanted to say.
Thank you. Melanie, did you want to respond?
Yeah, thank you so much for that. I do appreciate that. We work a lot with historical renovations in our work. And it is something that we take fairly seriously. We're not inclined to just knock down buildings for no reason and rebuild housing. So I do appreciate that concern. As do the owners. It's not simply another house that they've purchased. It's a family home. That is their family home, and they also have a lot of memories of it. And I think certainly would be inclined to not have something that stands out in the neighborhood. It is a single story. It's not a two-story building. They are two bungalows as well. They just happen to be semi-detached. And so we're trying to keep the height of the building low to reflect the rest of the neighborhood, and retain some of the architectural character of that through the use of various materials and finishes.
Thank you, Melanie. Andrew?
I'll just add, your worship, that, you know, the town does not have properties designated on the Ontario Heritage Act at this time, like many don't. And as you know, through properties that may be subject to site plan control, we do attempt to keep the heritage as much as we possibly can on properties that we do have some control over. It sounds like the owner in this instance, you know, has some regard to that themselves, which is nice to hear. But the town only has so much teeth in terms of what a single family or a semi may look like moving forward.
Thank you. And I'll ask a third and final time if there's any further comments or questions from the public. Seeing none, the public portion of the meeting is finished and the floor is now closed. So debate or discussion or comments is limited to the council. So we do have report PB 1425 that Andrew highlighted. I need a mover and seconder before we discuss it. Moved by Councillor Hudson, seconded by Councillor Sackle. Council, any comments, questions? Councillor Fleet.
Thank you, Your Worship, and I'd just like to thank you folks for coming in and bringing your concerns to council and to our community. You know, I grew up in Hanover. I'm going back a long way. Greenwoods, I think, actually owned the property in the corner. This is going back along. My father actually cut the two lawns in those two homes, and they're beautiful homes, and it's hard to see change happen. I just hope that with the new build and that there'll be some tree planting and make it blend into the community. And I just want to say thank you for your concerns.
Any other comments, questions, discussion? Seeing none, I will call the question. All in favor of report PB 25. That is carried. Thank you. We're now on to our second public meeting, and this is to consider zoning bylaw amendment file number Z225, 862 8th Avenue North. And I'll ask the clerk for the method of notice of the meeting and the dates of that notice.
Through you, your worship, on September 15th, 2025, notice of the public meeting for zoning bylaw amendment set to 25 was circulated to all applicable agencies and persons as required by Section 34 of the Planning Act 1990. Circulation of the notice of public meeting included abutting property owners within 120 meters of the subject land and was also posted on the subject land. The notice was also posted on the town's website. The application was reviewed by the Planning Advisory Committee on September 19th, 2025, and comments were received from Saugeen Valley, Grey County, and Gerald and Bonnie Blake.
Thank you. Andrew Wilkin, our Director of Development and Infrastructure, also our CBO, will give an overview of the item.
Thank you, Your Worship. On September 8th, 2025, Tim Kramer of Brenly Homes, owner of the property 862 8th Ave North, submitted an application to amend the zoning on lands known as 862 8th Ave North in the town of Hanover. The zoning amendment looks to rezone the lands from its current R1 residential / H hazard designation to an R3 residential / hazard designation to ultimately allow for the building of a semi-detached dwelling. The properties at hand here were created through a severance in 2022, applications B322. The town has reviewed the comments that were received as part of this application, specifically from the public agencies. As outlined within SVCA's comments dated September 29th, 2025, there is currently an unresolved violation on the property that needs to be rectified. The specific background reports that are being asked for and conversations that have been ongoing with the owner, Saugeen Valley and the town of Hanover, while not resolved currently, do not have to be resolved in the town's opinion prior to the zoning changing, which is why the application is before you here today. As of right, the property currently is designated R1 residential / hazard, which essentially means that a single family dwelling could be built on this property as of right today, which would just require the applicant to go through a building permit application. If that were the case and they were proposing a single family dwelling, this council wouldn't be hearing a planning application. We would require consultation between the town, Saugeen Valley, and the property owner anyways, just to help explain the process of what typically happens if a planning application is not necessary. The town of Hanover currently does have a notice to comply on the property, and essentially that it orders the owner to obtain a building permit, which they have been clear they cannot do until the zoning is zoned to allow for a semi, which they are proposing to build. Again, why this application is before you here today. The proposal provides a range of housing in a primary settlement area on lots that are serviced. All works and services are at the cost of the proponent. Planning Advisory heard this item at their September 9th meeting, and subject to conversations with SVCA that they propose that this come forth to the meeting here today. As the clerk mentioned, comments were provided from Saugeen Valley, Grey County, and Gerald and Bonnie Blake, all of which were received prior to this report being written, which are in your agenda package here today, which I won't read off unless somebody specifically is looking for that. There are no financial implications to this report. The link to the strategic plan is Goal 4, Balanced Growth. Therefore, the recommendation before you is that report PB 1525, Public Meeting for Zoning Bylaw Amendment 3349-25 be received, and that council passed bylaw 3349-225 to rezone the lands described as part of Lot 18, Register Plan 55, more specifically Part 3, Reference Plan 16R11878, and known as 862 8th Ave North in the town of Hanover in the county of Gray, from residential type 1/H hazard to residential type 3/H hazard. Now, in the recommendation, it doesn't note the hazards. However, the bylaw is correct and notes the hazard designation on those properties. That's before you here today. Tim Kramer is here. I don't believe we're going to do a presentation, but he's here to answer any questions that may arise through the open session.
Thank you, Andrew. Members of the public will now be allowed to speak to the matter. All questions are to be addressed through the chair. Please state your name and address for the record. If there are any persons present who wish to make written submissions on the proposed bylaw amendment, they should file them now with the clerk to form part of the record. This is in the event if there is an appeal to the Ontario Land Tribunal on this application. So the floor is open to the public if anyone has comments, questions, or discussion. I will ask a second time if there is any comments or discussion. And a third and final time. Seeing none, the public portion of the meeting is finished. The floor is now closed and discussion or debate is limited to council and staff. So we do have report PB 1525. I need a mover and seconder before we open it up for comments and discussion. Councillor Hocking and Deputy Mayor Dickert. Council, comments, questions? Councillor Sacco.
Thank you, Your Worship. So I went to see this property and looking at the drawings that have been provided, it looks really nice. So I've got a couple of concerns. The letter that was sent in with regard to this property talks about the water possibly draining off. I'd like to hear how that can be resolved. Perhaps Tim Kramer has a comment to make on that, or maybe Andrew can answer that. I'm just curious about that.
Andrew?
Yes, through you, Your Worship. I mean, as the design, the wholesome design gets finalized, any stormwater management at the time of building permit, it would have to be resolved. It cannot adversely affect any neighboring properties. So through that consultation with SVCA and the town and the developer, that would have to be resolved.
Thank you. That's great to hear. Could you clarify what the hazardous land issue is with that particular property?
Sure, through Your Worship. Yeah, parts of those lands, like many lands down there in those low-lying areas, fall within the floodplain. Part of it, EP protected, environmentally protected, regulated, and floodplain, which essentially forms kind of those hazard designations, meaning that consultation is required with SVCA for the health and safety portion. So, you know, in the case of that 100-year storm, they could be in those low-lying areas. Therefore, special consideration needs to be considered prior to the works commencing in there.
Councillor Cable?
Thank you, Your Worship. So Andrew, just to clarify, so I'm certainly in favor of it being an R3 designation. So if we approve this tonight, then you're saying that the building permit will not be issued until everything is rectified with Saugeen Valley. Is that correct?
Yeah, through Your Worship. Yeah, I have a requirement as a chief building official that I need to meet applicable law. Therefore, the details definitely have to be worked out with Saugeen Valley and the town prior to the work commencing there.
Any response, Councillor Cable, or you're good?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion, comments? Councillor Hudson.
Thank you, Your Worship. Andrew, can you speak on how long it possibly could take to work through the conservation area?
Through you, Your Worship, that's kind of a throwing of a dart. A couple days, hopefully, a couple weeks. There's two applications before you, this one and another one. This property, because it's to the south, maybe has a few more hurdles because of its location to the floodplain. You know, I guess through discussions, hopefully amicably come up to a reasonable solution, whether that's building size or location or flood line mapping. There's a whole plethora of ways to potentially work through a solution. So hopefully quite quickly.
And have they received this information prior to this meeting?
Through your worship, there had been discussions between the developer and Saugeen Valley for quite some time. Worked through some issues. There's a few that still remain that need to be worked through. But time is of the essence, I guess you could say. And as fall approaches, this was a hurdle This was a hurdle, the zoning amendment that would need to be overcome prior to the issuing of a permit anyways, because you couldn't apply for a semi if it was zoned for a residential single family home anyway.
And so if the conservation area decides that it's not a go, will the designation change? Will there be any adverse effect because of that?
Through your worship, no. R3 designation still allows for a single family dwelling. So it could be reverted, so to speak. The designation wouldn't have to change.
Further comments, questions? And none online, seeing none. All in favor of report PB 1525. And that is carried. All right, our third and last public meeting for the afternoon is zoning bylaw amendment file number Z23 866 8th Avenue North. And I'll ask the clerk for the method of notice of the meeting and the dates of that notice. Vicky?
Through you, Your Worship, on September 15th, 2025, notice of the public meeting for zoning bylaw amendment numbers at 325 was circulated to all applicable agencies and persons as required by Section 34 of the Planning Act. Circulation of the notice of public meeting included abutting property owners within 120 meters of the subject land and was also posted on the subject land. The notice was also posted on the town's website.
Thank you. Andrew Wilkin, our Director of Development and Infrastructure, and our CBO will give an overview of the item. Andrew.
Thank you again, Your Worship. On September the 8th, Tim Kramer, agent for 866 8th Ave North, submitted an application on behalf of the owner, Tony Lang Farms Ltd, to amend the zoning on lands known as 866 8th Ave North in the town of Hanover. The intent of this application is to zone the lands from an R1/hazard designation to an R3-hazard designation to ultimately allow for the construction of a semi-detached dwelling. These lots were created through a consent application in September of 2022 under application B322. This property, as it stands immediately north of the property that was just heard before you here today, has a few less complications based on its more northerly stance from the Saugeen River, so to speak. Town of Hanover, town staff have reviewed the comments received by public agencies. Again, we note that there's an unresolved violation on the property. My explanation about the property's use and current designation versus what it would be is the same as it was before. I'm not going to explain that again because I didn't write that down, how to say it. As I mentioned, Hanover has a notice to comply on the property to obtain a building permit. Again, they won't be able to obtain one until the zoning is sufficient as well. Planning Advisory Committee heard this application with the other applications on September the 9th. Subject to SVCA discussion, move the property to the public meeting as it is here today. Also, comments were received from SVCA, Grey County, and Gerald and Bonnie Blake. Those all were received prior to this report being finalized. Therefore, they are in the package. There are no financial implications to this report. The link to the strategic plan is balanced growth. Finally, therefore, the recommendation is that report 16-25 public meeting for zoning bylaw amendment 3350-25 be received, and that council pass bylaw 3350-25 to rezone the land described as part of lot 18, registered plan 55, more specifically part 2, reference plan 16R 11878 and known as 866 8th Ave North in the town of Hanover in the county of Grey from residential type 1/H hazard to residential type 3/H hazard zoning. And again, Tim Kramer is here as the agent to answer any questions you have, or I can if there are any beyond my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. Members of the public will now be allowed to speak to this matter. All questions are to be addressed through the chair. Please state your name and address for the record. If there are any persons present who wish to make written submissions on the proposed bylaw amendment, they should file them now with the clerk to form part of the record. This is in the event there is an appeal to the Ontario Land Tribunal on this application. Is there anyone who wishes to speak to this matter? I'll ask a second time. Is there anyone who wishes to speak from the public? And third and final time. Seeing none, the public portion of the meeting is finished. The floor is now closed and discussion or debate is limited to council and staff. So we have report PB 1625. I need a mover and seconder to put that on the floor to open it up for discussion. Councillor Fleet and Councillor Hawking. Comments or questions? I'll ask one more time. Any comments, questions, discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of report PB 1625. That is carried. Thank you. That takes care of our public meetings, and we do not have any delegations this afternoon, so we'll move into our item 9, which is on page 55 of the package. These are council minutes. Thank you, everyone, for coming. So we have 9.1. This is the regular council meeting minutes from September 15th. I need a mover and seconder to put those on the floor. And I have Councillor Sackle. And can I have Councillor Cable on that one? Is that okay?
Yes, thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you, Councillor Cable. I just have a couple of highlights. You'll remember we did have a delegation from Saugeen Hospice. We had Carol Kraft, chairperson, and Charles Bullion, who was the business manager for Saugeen Hospice. And they shared that the hospice board is seeking financial support from local municipalities. We also had Chief Chris Knoll from Hanover Police Service present the 2024 annual report, and Selwyn Hicks, the Hanover Police Service Board Chair, and Chief Knoll also presented the 2025 to the 2029 strategic plan. I'll ask if there's any comments or questions with those minutes. Oh, I did have one more. We approved revisions to our flag and proclamation policy. So, all right, I'll call the question. All in favor of approving the regular council meeting minutes from September 15th? That is carried. 9.2 is the special council meeting minutes from September 23rd. I need a mover and seconder for those, Councillor Hawking and Deputy Mayor Dickert. That meeting was held and we had a closed session in order to address a matter pertaining to a position, plan, procedure, criteria, or instruction to be applied to negotiations with respect to growth. All in favor of those minutes? That is carried. We do not have any business arising from the minutes, so we'll move right into the consent agenda, and I will ask, are there any items in the consent agenda that you wish to be discussed separately? Councillor Hudson.
Thank you, Your Worship. It's not that I want it discussed. I'm just questioning the address on page 73 of 612 10th Street. Is it 10th Avenue?
Councillor Hudson, we have to pull those. We cannot discuss without pulling. So we could either pull it and discuss it, or you can ask staff or any one of us after the meeting or whenever, your choice.
That's fine. We can ask after. It's just an address.
Okay, thank you. So we do have the consent agenda. I need a mover and seconder for that motion, which is Councillor Hawking and Deputy Mayor Dickert. And that motion is that the items listed in the consent agenda be received for information and that any recommendations contained therein be hereby approved. All in favor? That is carried. Item 12 is staff reports requiring action. And it is 12.1. We're on page 101 of the package. The report is ED 1225. The subject is the Hanover Downtown Plan Consultant Selection. It's from April Marshall, our Economic Development Manager. And I need a mover and seconder to put this on the floor before April highlights it. Councillor Sackle and Councillor Fleet. April?
Good evening, Your Worship. You can hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Great, thank you. Some background for this report. It is in response to the Town of Hanover Strategic Plan 2023 to 2027. And it's hitting a few of our directions here under strong and vibrant community about enhancing the downtown experience for residents and visitors. And also 3.4, which is promoting tourism as an economic driver. So the municipality's commitment to enhancing our downtown and promoting tourism can also be found in several of our other key planning documents, such as our Economic, Tourism, and Cultural Development Strategic Plan. So in February of 2025, yourself, Mayor Patterson, and staff Sherry Walden, CAO, and myself attended the DIA executive meeting to propose a partnership to develop a downtown plan with a tourism component. We have established a memorandum of understanding and have the shared goals about strengthening downtown's Hanover's vitality, building through collaboration, driving tourism and investment through data, and creating a destination downtown. With that, we have now struck a subcommittee or working group, and we have representation from the DIA, municipal staff, and committee representation. The list of committee members are Jennifer Harima, DIA Executive Chair. We have Jennifer Olivero, who is a DIA Executive, and on the Economic, Tourism, Cultural Development Advisory Committee, Harold Fleet, a counselor and the DIA representative, Bev Morgan on the Cultural Roundtable, Ruth Lennon on the Cultural Roundtable, Brandon Dobson, who's our PRC Program Supervisor and Cultural Roundtable, and then myself. The discussion for tonight is that we did issue an RFP that was promoted on the town's website and Bidingo with a closing date of Friday, September the 26th at 2 p.m. To create a Hanover downtown plan. We did receive 8 proposals by the deadline, and just with one, we had to be withdrawn due to not meeting the established submission criteria. You can see in the discussion of the report, we've outlined who we received those from and the proposed fees. We also included in the report the weighting or the way the proposals were evaluated. So we wanted to talk about understanding that the consultants or the proponents understood the project goals. We evaluated their approach and methodology, their experience and qualifications, budget and cost breakdown, innovation and value added ideas, scalability and flexibility, and reference and past work. So after careful consideration, the committee did score these proposals and narrowed down the selection. And it was a mutual understanding of the top contenders that met the established criteria and represents the best overall value. Based on the assessment of the submitted proposals, the committee reached the conclusion that JL Richardson Associates, or JLR, provided the best overall solution that focuses on creating a plan that enhances the downtown experience for both residents and visitors, while supporting our long-term community economic development goals, and that promotes people stopping and visiting while traveling through our community. There's several advantages to JLR as far as having a deep regional knowledge, proven experience in downtown revitalization, and a lot of community building and feedback mechanisms built into their plan. We also go on to share more experience that they've had with other communities like the town of Collingwood, the municipality of Meaford, and the town of Blue Mountains. JLR also completed the net zero fire hall feasibility study for the town of Hanover. So essentially, we are asking for the consultant to really take a review of the work that we've already done, because we do have really good plans in place that we have invested in. So we want to carry those forward and leverage the work that we've done. So this includes our 2015 Downtown Hanover Streetscape Plan, our cultural plan, our HIP program, the business retention expansion survey responses we'll be getting, and also all the data we have access to. So essentially what we want to do is we want to create Hanover downtown as a destination. So this could be through, essentially by creating those experiences. It's giving people a reason to stop, whether that be something, a trail or tour created. It could be something tangible, like a public art piece installation. It can be, and also included in this is doing a gap analysis, or taking a look at what businesses we have downtown, what goals do we want to have, what do we want to see the downtown be, like what businesses are missing, what could we start to attract to create that overall experience. So we really want to take a deep dive into what we're offering, and then by partnering with the DIA and getting further feedback from stakeholders, we are able to really create that shared vision that we can all work towards and establish our roles and responsibilities, so that we're not duplicating efforts, we're streamlining our resources, and this can be a really strong action plan for us moving forward that we can then start to use to measure as well. So we can see, where we are when we create the plan, and then as we advance, we can, do yearly check-ins or measures to see what measurements we have been able to achieve as we start to continue to analyze the data that we receive as well. So the project timeline will begin immediately, with the final plan being drafted in April 2026. The final implications are that the JLR proposal is well aligned with the project's budget of $35,000. Their price schedule came in at $34,942. The funding is being shared between the DIA and the town. So the DIA is contributing $10,000, and then the rest is coming out of the economic development budget. We had approved some allocations for a tourism plan and a downtown plan. So we've merged all of these funds together. And by merging these funding streams, we're maximizing the value and efficiency, recognizing there is a natural synergy between tourism and our downtown plan efforts. So that will help overall revitalize the downtown core. This integrated approach ensures that resources are used strategically to support both community and economic goals. The link to the strategic plan is 3 strong and vibrant economy. And the recommendation is that report ED 1225 Hanover Downtown Plan consultant selection be received, and that the proposal to complete the Hanover Downtown Plan as presented by JL Richards and Associates Limited be accepted, and that the mayor and CAO be authorized to enter into an agreement with JL Richards and Associates Limited. I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, April. Council, discussion? Councillor Sacco.
Thank you, Your Worship. Thank you for your report, April. It's pretty exciting. I'm glad this is moving forward. I've had a number of people speak to me about how we could or should make Hanover downtown more attractive. So this might be wishful thinking on my part, but is it even possible to contact the owner of the former byway, the owners of the property where we had our fire downtown, and to perhaps encourage them to let us make their properties look pretty in some small way? I know we only have a certain amount of money, but is that even possible?
Thank you, Councillor Sacco. Through you, Your Worship. Yeah, that is exactly what we want to achieve through this plan. So essentially, we would be able to encourage our downtown property owners to participate in the stakeholder engagement so that they have a voice and they can contribute. But furthering that, you're right, you're recognizing some properties that we would like to see some activity on. So I would suggest that probably out of this plan, once we determine what our actions are and where they are best suited, we then have that support of that plan being created and the feedback we receive from our stakeholders so that we're able to approach them to work with us. So I'm going to give you a little bit of an example, and I'm not saying this is going to be in the plan, but perhaps an action coming out of it might be, we want to work with our vacant properties on the main street. So maybe we want to partner with, our artists, local artists, or we want to do some kind of pop-up shops so that, and partner with those property owners so that we can get access to their building and that they are interested in working with us so that people can start to see what else that space can be used for and to show activity in it again. So I hope by having this coordinated approach in this plan that we can have something really tangible to take them and hope they get excited by it and want to participate with us. Because properties are often filled better when people can see what the potential uses are. So it is an exciting opportunity. It's going to be great to see what recommendations come out of it. And then, yes, how we can further it and further partner with our property owners downtown.
Thanks. That's what I was hoping to hear.
Great.
Councillor Hawking.
Thank you, Your Worship. This is an excellent initiative, April, and I wish you all the best. However, as I read the report, to me, there is a glaring, what should I say, maybe oversight or a participant I thought would be willing to engage in this when you talk about strengthening the downtown, Hanover vitality, and you're building through collaboration. And I question why there's no representative from the Chamber of Commerce on the steering committee. I'm sure they were invited, am I correct?
Yes, through your worship, I did approach the Chamber of Commerce, and unfortunately they declined participation with us directly by means of financial contribution or sitting on the committee at this time. They will be engaged through our stakeholder engagement or when we ask for responses that way. And they do have interest to have a joint meeting with Economic Tourism Cultural Development Advisory Committee and the DIA upcoming. So I'm hoping that they will see the value in participating with us and their role in it as we advance. But unfortunately, at this time, there is just a bit of a disconnect with their work plan essentially and this project.
This is unfortunate that the Chamber of Commerce would renege on an opportunity to create a vision for our downtown. And this is my personal opinion only. I don't speak for anybody else. I'm extremely, extremely disappointed when the chamber sort of squawks and cries out about our downtown. They're given an opportunity to participate and they choose not to. So shame on you. And I hope you have a chance to rethink your position and join in something that can make everybody, when you talk about collaboration, I think it's time for that group to begin collaboration and not sit out there sort of spinning by themselves and trying to tell us what to do. So, bit of a rant, but that's the way I feel. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other comments, discussion? Deputy Mayor Dickert, then Councillor Hudson.
Thank you, Your Worship, and thank you, April, for the report. I'm trying to get a better understanding of what this investment will create as far as next steps. Is it going to be some publications that we're going to be able to go out and take to the property owners downtown? Is it going to be, I'm struggling with what the next steps are here once this study is completed and what it's going to help us accomplish.
April?
Yeah, through you, Your Worship. I would think about this as your strategic plan for the downtown. You know, the town of Hanover takes a lot of pride in our strategic plan that we've created and the percentage of actions that we are currently pursuing. So I would think about that, this plan as that. What we want to do is we want to analyze what we're doing well. We want to acknowledge where maybe we're lacking or where there's opportunities to build. We want to build in the available data we have as far as like who's visiting our downtown, why they're coming. And we also want to take a look at, we call it a gap analysis, like what businesses are we missing? And by developing this plan, I look at it as a strategic plan. It's a guide for us so that, because as we know, and as we were just speaking about, all of these different organizations, we tend to kind of work in our own silos and, you know, put off these promotions. And yes, we collaborate together for sure. But I think this plan is an opportunity for us all to come together, ensure all voices are heard, and to develop those actions that we can all work towards so that we meet the vision of the downtown that we want. We've heard it loud and clear through our own strategic planning that the downtown, we need to have some coordination there and a vision. And I'm going to be completely honest, I'm hearing that a lot through the business retention expansion interviews, which is forthcoming for me to deliver those results. But, you know, there is a need. Downtowns are the heart of our communities. Especially our downtown, it's our opportunity to promote our heritage and our culture. So what we're going to have is a tangible piece that has taken into consideration all elements and has put a plan together that we can all be proud of and that we can all work towards. And then we can also use it as a measurement tool, because then we can start to see what actions we've achieved and start to see what those results are from those actions to know that what we're spending our time in is successful. Does that help answer your question?
Yes, you know, I agree. We need to we need to do something to reinvigorate our downtown. Some of the things you mentioned there, though, I think, and I forget the name of the report that you shared with us maybe a year ago, 8 months ago, that gave all the statistics of where our visitors come from. And I said the name of that report just escapes me right now. So is some of this duplication of that work, or are we going to? I say I'm just struggling with what these next steps are once you get this whole package put together. I'm just really having trouble figuring out what we're going to do with that information that's going to give us the results we're looking for.
Through your worship, that report was my main street. So that is the Environics data. That is the data that I was sharing of who is currently coming to our main street and where they're coming from. So yeah, this plan is going to take all of that into consideration to know who the ideal customer is or exactly where they're coming from. So yes, that helps us with our marketing efforts because then we're able to directly target those that are already familiar with Hanover and coming to it. But maybe it also shows us that our local residents maybe aren't supporting the downtown core the best that they can. So out of this plan, it might become an action to say we need to educate and support, promote our local residents visiting our downtown and however we get there to do that. So it's establishing those goals and those actions that we can all work towards. And I just really want to reinforce, like, this is coming out of our strategic plan because we identified that need. So this is the next step in furthering those actions so that we can, as I'm just going to go back to our strategic directions. We want an action-oriented downtown plan that includes key stakeholders such as the DIA, Hanover Chamber of Commerce, Cultural Roundtable, town staff, and council representatives and residents. Explore options for the downtown plan to include recommendations to create an enhanced schedule of downtown events initiatives, including Heritage Square, perhaps increase the event development fund. And we want to promote tourism that provides practical recommendations to leverage the town's features and amenities to enhance the market and market Hanover as a destination of choice. So like these are the actions that we're going to have to now create using the information that we have at hand and giving us that plan to implement it. So I mean, perhaps another example is we need another signature event. Maybe that's going to come out loud and clear as an attraction to our downtown. So then that tells us, now that we've heard from our community and our stakeholders that that's a priority for them, then we start to pivot our work plans towards that. And I'm just using that as an example.
Yeah, and thank you, April. Like I said, I'm certainly not against doing this work. I just want to make sure that, you know, if we're investing this money, it actually gives us a plan forward because, you know, we've all talked around this table about, you know, the events that we used to have and, you know, maybe we don't have now and how we're going to identify what opportunities exist there. So like I said, I'm just looking, maybe I'm looking too far down the road, wanting these next steps kind of listed out. But, you know, a lot of the things I say we've talked about, we'd like to see without a consultant's fee, I guess, is maybe what I'm looking at here because a lot of these ideas have been floated around already. And I just really hoping that this investment is going to make that gel or something like that so that actually we can get some action out of it because we do need to revitalize and we need to come up with those ideas. I just hope this investment is going to get us that direction, I guess.
Go ahead, Sherry.
So two things, excuse me. You know, Deputy Mayor Dickert, I think we've proven with our current strategic plan that we've taken a very aggressive implementation. And that's because it was a plan that was reflected community input and it resonated with our community accordingly. I agree with April. This is very much like a strategic plan specific on the downtown. So I would think that provided the input we receive and the plan is clear and concise, that will be the recommendations that we will act on will be taken in a similar nature accordingly, that we will see the benefit of the investment in these types of plans and then the implementation of them accordingly. The second thing, and I might just refer to this more as an example, but as you were asking about what will a plan look like, Owen Sound did a River District Action Plan. You hear a lot about their River District. That's their downtown. And while it's not what I would call, I just did a quick Google search here, River District Action Plan, City of Owen Sound, and it's not exact to ours, but it's very similar. And I think it would provide you with an example of what does a plan potentially include as outcomes. So I just share that more as an example that's local and that we hear about, right? You hear about the River District in Owen Sound. And so part of that plan was a branding exercise. Maybe that'll be a recommendation of this or not. But again, there could be various strategies as April mentioned with respect to the recommendations that come out of the plan. And then there'll have to be a whole implementation plan and identify whether it's the town who's taking on some of the implementation, is it the DIA, or is it other partners accordingly?
Councillor Hudson.
Thank you, Your Worship. Great presentation, April. It sounds to me like we do have a lot of the data and resources currently that we are then asking this consultant to figure out the plan for us. He's going to come up with the ultimate plan, where we've had some of this data around for a considerable amount of time. I understand that if it's a strategic plan, then we have measures that we can focus on and try and get the plan done. Do we need to have a consultant? Do we need somebody to coordinate within the resources and data that we already have? And you have another question out there for the downtown businesses. You have the name of what it is. So I'm kind of following along in the same train of thought as Deputy Mayor, that do we need to have this consultant to tell us what we currently already know, or do we have a group that can put it in place within?
Go ahead, April.
Yeah, through your worship. We are asking the consultants to leverage the work we've already done so that they don't duplicate that work, and we're not paying essentially for that duplication of work. The community engagement is a key piece of this, and it's that third party representation that have knowledge in this field and that they're able to listen to what the community is hearing and create those actions in response to that. I might just give the Chamber of Commerce as an example. Unfortunately, me going there and suggesting that they participate with us and listing the benefits of us working together, unfortunately didn't resonate with them. So for us to create a plan, like this is essentially community development, is listening to our community and our stakeholders and reacting to that, right? And responding to that so that everybody feels that they have buy-in and that they participated. Sometimes it's very difficult with the town and other stakeholders if we're creating a plan and telling people this is what we're doing. It's a fine line, it's a balance. And like we have identified this in our strategic plan. Our budget process has approved support for creation of this plan. So this is taking this to the next step. And yes, sometimes we are using consultants that have expertise in these fields so that they can dedicate the time to that and they can be that third party representation. So just trying to be sensitive to the fact that it's just very difficult sometimes to just to create a plan and then tell people how it's going to be. Like you really have to have that community engagement piece and 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 essentially like have everybody's buy-in so that they are proud of it and they do want to action it. So I think that's usually why and for our own resources, sometimes that's why we do have to look outside and get consultants. But I think the nature of this project specifically, like these are going to be experts in planning. They're going to take a look at, all of that, the infrastructure pieces and, the walkability of our downtown or the beautification of it. They're going to take those into consideration. They're going to be able to take the time to do the gap analysis and see what kind of businesses we're missing and what our downtown wants to be, make recommendations on what type of businesses we should be focusing in on to try to attract. There's various elements to this that hiring a consultant is able to dedicate their time to this project and build in their networks and their knowledge while listening to our community. So that is the reason we have furthered this plan specifically. I don't know if Sherry wants to add to that or not, but I would go back to that. We've identified this and we've budgeted for it accordingly as well.
Okay, we're going to go to Sherry and then following Sherry, Councillor Cable.
So we hear you. We don't have, again, April keyed in on the two key things with consultants. They have the expertise and they have the dedication of time. So when we turn to third parties, those are our key reasons for doing so. Making sure we've got the expertise to deliver the scope of work that we've defined and that they can dedicate the time accordingly. So I just want to emphasize that's when we as town staff look to consultants to assist us.
Thank you. Councillor Cable.
Thank you, Your Worship. April, just wondering, what's your timeline on the plan in terms of, like, is it a 2026 to 2030 plan? Is it a 2026 to 2036? What is the timeline that you're looking for?
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Cable. Yeah, we didn't identify X amount of years as far as the plan needing to be to follow that timeline. So if that is, I'm open to suggestions that way, but I think it's as we develop the plan, like essentially the implementation is going to make recommendations on timelines because we're not going to be able to do everything all at once. So we're going to have our short-term priorities and then our longer term priorities that will also be funding dependent. So I don't have an exact, like, this is going to be a 10-year plan per se, but implementation was certainly highlighted as a key piece of the scope of the project because we are balancing potential infrastructure work. We're balancing, some attraction, we're balancing some marketing implementation. So the plan will just identify that accordingly as far as short-term, mid-term, and long-term goals.
Okay, thank you. And I think certainly the 2015 streetscape plan, I think that's what worries me about this kind of activity, right? Because that's a plan that is beautiful and talks about how we could make our downtown, and then it's really just on the shelf because it wasn't practical when you look at the final. So I really hope that whatever comes out of this work is something that we've really thought about how it's going to be implemented and whether we have the financial resources to do that, and that we're coming up with ideas that would meet our budgets.
Yes, thank you, Councillor Cable, and through your worship. Yeah, that 2015 streetscape plan was done prior to me joining the town of Hanover, and I do acknowledge that it was very infrastructure based. It was high investment, and unfortunately, that is an example of a plan that we had difficulty getting off the ground. So that is why very careful consideration has been put towards the scope of this plan. So that we're not in that situation again, because I'm a true believer in actioning plans. I think that I've represented that through actioning the cultural plan, our strategic plan, our economic, cultural, tourism development plan. This is like essentially my role. I view these as our work plan. So I do want you to be rest assured that very careful consideration was given to that. And that was definitely some of the response that we did get through the DIA and chamber, worried about that as well. So we have absolutely considered that and have highlighted that this is an achievable action plan.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, April. Councillor Hawking, then Councillor Fleet.
Thanks, April, for your explanations. I will be voting for this proposal, mainly because I totally believe that a third party is objective in that they can take a sort of a look from sort of in the clouds and look down and come up with an action plan that is affordable. I saw that one in 2015, and it was a beautiful looking display. I mean, it caught the visual side. I'm not so sure it caught the practical side and the cost side. So but it looked really nice. Consultants have expertise that Sherry said. We have a great number of volunteers in this town, and sometimes they're single issue. Sometimes they think, oh, we need a street dance every year. That'll turn things. Well, it may, but we've got to look at the whole picture. We're looking at downtown improvement, and the result of this study probably will be it'll be excellent because it'll bring all the parties together and on a focus. It will give us objectives. It'll set a plan, and I'm looking forward to the results of their discussion, because there's probably things that they're going to pick up that we haven't even discussed. We got lots of data, but sometimes it takes a third party to go through that data and analyze it properly. So good luck, April. I'm looking forward to the results and set this thing in motion. Thank you.
Councillor Fleet.
Thank you, Your Worship, and thank you, April, for your report. I'm going back when yourself and Sherry and Mayor Sue attended DIA. And before you got to the meeting, I know there was some mixed emotions, should we, shouldn't we? But when you guys presented to the DIA, they jumped on board. And then and a couple remarks that were made after you guys had left the meeting was, we want to see results. If we don't see results this time, there won't be money next time. And I know where they're coming from, and I think like going back to 2015, I think they feel like, it was put on the shelf, nothing ever happened. So it was a bit of after chatting with the DIA, it was a bit of a chore to get the $10,000 of them. And I'm proud of the DIA. I'm disappointed in the chamber, but I just feel that we need to see some action and some results.
Go ahead, Sherry.
I don't wish to belabor anything, but the 215 plan, to say that nothing was done is not totally accurate. There were some pieces of that plan implemented. Those that were high costs and infrastructure related, as April mentioned, were not actioned, but there were pieces of that plan that were actioned.
Okay, we've had a good discussion. So we have report ED 1225. It's been moved by Councillor Sackle, seconded by Councillor Fleet. All in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4. Those opposed? 1, 2. Councillor Cable, I need to ask how you are voting.
In favor.
That motion is carried. Thank you. Thank you, April.
Thank you.
All right, item 12.2, this is report DCS 1325. The subject is the FCM Green Municipal Fund. with regards to the fire hall long-term borrowing. It is from Chris Walker, our Director of Corporate Services and Treasurer, and I need a mover and seconder to put this on the floor. Deputy Mayor Dickert and Councillor Hawking. Chris?
Thank you, Your Worship. Council may remember back in 2024, it was late 2023 when we were putting the budget together. We had on there that we were going to either borrow long-term through FCM, which is the Federation of Canadian Municipalities, or just local borrowing. We were successful in getting the FCM when we received approval in April 2024. We did an application there and we were eligible for up to 6.7 million between long-term borrowing and grants. And that was based on our 8.8 budget for the fire hall. And we also were able to include the 2nd Street extension east of 18th Ave so that we could have that entrance into the fire hall. So we had to use that road as well. So the discussion here is that the total cost of the completed fire hall came in for FCM around $7.7 million. It was actually 7.977, just 23,000 short of 8 million. But because we had some expenses that were incurred prior to October of 2023, those $269,000 worth of expenses could not be included in the FCM total that we had to show as the 7.7. So based on those, we are allowed to get up to 80% funding of $6.166700. Of that amount, $5,362,350 is for long-term borrowing, and the balance of $804,350 is through grant money. And the assumption that we had in our budget was for $458,000 a year, and this is coming in just slightly lower than that. So we also, in 2024, brought to council a report that we needed interim borrowing in the interim because the project was all done, but the FCM has lots of paperwork and lots of documentation that had to be done, and the solar panels were not installed. So technically, the project was not completed until almost June of this year in 2025. So in the interim, we borrowed 5.8 million through Infrastructure Ontario. And once the invoices were finalized, we then had to do an audit report, several other detailed reports to get to FCM 60 days prior to the next date when we were going to bring the budget bylaw, the bylaw for the FCM borrowing to council, which was today's date. So we had to have all this done by August 6th of 2025. So then once that's done, in order to finalize the loan, a town bylaw for this borrowing is required. And then shortly thereafter, then we have to get a legal opinion on that, and it has to be done in the next couple of days in order to get the borrowing brought to us by October 15th. So there's a lot of red tape to get all this stuff in place. So we apologize for the long delay in getting this to you. So upon receipt of all the loan monies from FCM, as well as the grant monies, this will clear up our $5.8 million for the interim borrowing through Ontario Infrastructure. And the total external loans, you may remember last council meeting, we passed that 1.5 million that we talked about for the trails and landfill. And that was approximately $186,000 a year. And with this 426 for the fire hall, the total external borrowing now will be $612,000. In our budget for 2025, we had $645,400. So for 2026, it will be about 32,000 lower than we had anticipated because of the costing that we were able to get and the lower cost for the overall price. So the link to the strategic plan is safe and reliable infrastructure, as well as goal number 5, open and responsible government. So the recommendation is that this report, FCM Green Municipal Fund Fire Hall long-term borrowing, be received, and that council approve a bylaw to enter into this long-term borrowing with FCM, and this bylaw is later on in the agenda.
Thank you, Chris. Discussion, comments? Thorough report there, Chris. So all in favor of report DCS 1325? That is carried. Item 12.3 is, we're on page 109 of the package, is report DCS 1425. The subject is strong mayor powers legislation impact on the budget process. It's from Yelena Savick, Director of Corporate Services, and Chris Walker, Director of Corporate Services and Treasurer. I need a mover and seconder to put that on the floor. Councillor Hawking and Deputy Mayor Dickert. Who's going to start? Yelena?
Yes, that will be me. Thank you.
It's Yelena?
Okay, that's okay. We've got time. Okay.
I was close.
We've got a lot of meetings left, so it's okay. Thank you. Through you, your worship, the province of Ontario has granted strong mayor powers to designated heads of council, including the mayor of the town of Hanover. As of May 1st, 2025, the mayor has the authority to prepare and submit a budget directly to council instead of traditionally what's been happening, which is council prepare or staff prepare a budget for approval by council. This new legislative framework requires that the mayor table a budget, after which point council has 30 days to submit any amendments to the budget. Once that amendment period is completed, the mayor has 10 days to veto any amendments submitted by council. If the mayor does veto any amendments, council has another 15 days after that period to override any mayoral veto by a 2/3 majority. So it's a little bit of a pickleball budget process at this point. There are legislative deadlines for the amendment and veto periods, and they're listed on the report. The final deadline, if a mayor Sue is to submit a budget on November 24th, will be January 13th, 2026. So council and the mayor have the option to shorten the amendment period, the mayoral veto period, and the council override period. Staff have presented in the report an alternate timeline for the preparation of the 2026 budget that reflects a proposed shortened timeline for the amendment period. So instead of 30 days, the amendment period will be 15. The veto period for the mayor, instead of 10 days, will be 6. And the council override period for those vetoes, instead of 15 days, is proposed to be 8 days. This would bring the final adoption date for the budget to December 23rd, 2025. There are no financial implications stemming directly from this report. The link to the strategic plan is goal number 5, open and responsible government. And staff recommend that report DCS 1425 be received for information and that council consider adopting a shortened timeline to better align with strategic goals, procurement planning, and financial best practices.
Thank you, Yelena. Yelena? Yelena. I'm going to call you Ms. Savick. Yelena. Okay. All right. Comments, discussion. Deputy Mayor Dickert.
Thank you, your worship, and thank you for the report, Yelena. There we go. Yeah. I'm in favor of the shortened timeline, providing it doesn't create hardship on staff to respond to any questions that might come in. That would be my only concern, but other than that, I'd be supporting the shorter timeline.
Thank you. Go ahead. Okay, Sherry, comment?
Just that we've, interestingly enough, what was that the the meeting that we've dealt with the preliminary budget timelines, or sorry, the preliminary budget implications. That was around September 15th, I'm going to say. It became apparent to us that we really needed to create a flow chart with some dates. And so we as staff have met over the last couple of weeks to finalize the information that's in this report, and that's included obviously finance staff, Vicky and myself. So we feel those are achievable. Otherwise, we wouldn't have put them forth.
Other comments or questions? And none online, so all in favor of DCS 1425. Go. Oh. So we're doing the 30-day to 15, the 15 down to 8. Oh, you want me to say this? That's what it is. Oh, see, the clerk's right on the ball here. Did you want to read it? Okay.
I have a draft motion prepared that report DCS 1425, strong mayor powers legislation impact on the budget process be received, that the 30-day budget amendment period in which council may pass a resolution to amend the mayor's proposed budget be shortened to 15 days, and that council shorten the 15-day period in which council may, by a 2/3 vote, override the mayor's veto of a budget amendment resolution to 8 days.
Any further discussion? All in favor? That is carried. Okay, 12.4, we're on page 115. This is report DCS 1525. The subject is appointment of external municipal auditor for 2025 to 2029. It's from Yelena.
You'll say it a few times. I'll get it.
Say that again, Yelena?
There you go.
Yelena, got it. We'll see if I get it next time. Yelena. Yelena Savick, Director of Corporate Services, and Chris Walker, Director of Corporate Services and Treasurer. So I should say, I'm very particular with names on the spelling part. And not only because most people spell Patterson with 2 T's and I spell it with 1. I always say we were the first ones and then other people put a second T in. So I do know the spelling. It's the pronunciation. Please go ahead. Oh, no, wait. I need a mover and seconder. Councillor Sackel and Councillor Cable, can I include you as a seconder?
Yes, thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Cable. Okay, good to go. We've got a mover and seconder.
I'd like to go back to the previous report. We're still waiting for the mayoral directive that we need.
Does that have to be done by council or the
No,
mayor
that's-
does it?
That's done solely by the mayor
Okay.
as a paper form. So after today's meeting, she will send out her directive to council and to myself.
Just want to make sure, because that was all part of the whole thing, that
Yeah.
council
Yeah.
didn't see that.
All right, please go ahead.
Great, thank you very much. So as, through you, your worship, as per section 96(1) of the Municipal Act, municipalities are required to appoint an auditor who is responsible for completing the annual audit of the corporation. Section 96(3) states that the auditor of a municipality shall not be appointed for a term exceeding 5 years. The previous 5-year term of the town's current auditors was completed with the presentation of the 2024 financial statements. So we are required to appoint a new auditor for the 2025 financial statements for a period of up to 5 years. Staff had submitted requests for proposal for external audit services in 2010 and 2015. Both times the RFP was awarded to BDO Canada LLP, now known as MNP LLP. Staff are recommending that council approve another 5-year appointment of MNP as the town's auditor instead of submitting a broader request for proposal for external audit services. There are significant staff transitions in the area of corporate services, and having an auditor familiar with the town's operations will benefit in smoothing that transition and ensuring consistency in our financial reporting. The financial implications of this report reflect the 5-year service costs for MNP. There's an increase in service costs between 2024 and 2025. The 2024 figure was locked in at the time of their original proposal in 2019, a pre-COVID proposal that did not reflect a number of significant changes to the audit, including several new accounting standards and quality management standards that have changed the way that the audit process is governed. The link to the strategic plan is goal number 5, open and responsible government. Staff recommend that report DCS 1525 be received and that council approve bylaw 335125 to appoint MNP LLP for another 5-year audit term.
Thank you. Comments, questions? Okay, and none online. I'll call the question. All in favor? That is carried. All right, item 13 is committees of council minutes, and we have 4 sets of minutes. So I need a mover and seconder, and that will cover the 4 sets of minutes before they're highlighted. Councillor Hocking and Councillor Hudson. The first set of minutes, again, we're on page 123. This is 13.1. It is the Age-Friendly Advisory Committee minutes. And Councillor Fleet, please.
Thank you, Worship. Age-Friendly Advisory Committee met on August 18th. I'll just go over a few of the items of information. The Alzheimer's Society and Grey Bruce Coffee Break, that was on September 18th. Senior Active Living Center programs, committee members were provided with an overview of the new SALC programs offered at the P&H Center this fall and winter. Senior Community Grant Expo, committee discussed approval for the Senior Community Grant to host an expo for seniors. The expo must be completed by March 31st, 2026. Committee members tentatively agreed on March 24th for the expo. Other business, committee members shared with YMCA and Owen Sounder completed dementia training for their staff. Wyerton is also becoming a dementia-friendly community. Other than that, that's all I have to report from Age Friendly. I'd take any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Fleet. And of course, please just let me know if you have questions. 13.2 is the Parks, Recreation and Culture Advisory Committee minutes from Councillor Hudson.
Thank you, Your Worship. PRC committee met on Wednesday, August the 20th, and the majority of the meeting was pertaining to the 2026 capital project input with a number of different things on the list, and we reviewed and had many conversations about several of the things that were on it. And that will again come up at the meeting, which is this week, that's been put off for a couple of weeks. The one that was pulled out of that was the support of the replacement of the ballpark pavilion, Kinsman Ballpark or Binkley Patterson Ballpark, whichever you're familiar with. There was a quote that was put forth on that, which the support was not for. So there's a lot more discussion that needs to be had on that. And that took up pretty much the whole meeting.
I see that. Okay, good. 13.3 is the Planning Advisory Committee minutes. Councillor Fleet.
Thank you, Worship. Planning Advisory met September 9th, 2025. Andrew highlighted items 7, 8, and 9 in his report, so I'm going to not go over those reports again, just to repeat. He gave me a quick update here. So Secretary Treasurer provided an update on official plan update with had a first steering committee meeting August 12, 25, discussions on land uses, designations, public engagement, and the expected surveys to follow for public engagements, as well as density guidelines and growth management works. Next steps working towards a draft OP, which facilitate a larger public engagement in council session. PAC moved forward on application AUM developers for mixed commercial resident use building at 645 10th Street. That's between the dental office and Tim Hortons, I guess it is. And so we heard that from Andrew, and then PAC moved forward with an application 203 17th Avenue for a minor variance for rear yard setback for a covered porch. PAC heard 3 separate zoning bylaw amendments, which we had talked about. And finally, PAC saw rough plans for a site plan control application for a proposed 68-unit apartment at the old Tender Pizza location at 167 10th Street. Staff are working with the developer operational requirements. However, potential site plan control application has to be finalized, will be finalized this fall. And that's all I have to report from planning.
You. All right, and I don't see any hands raised. So the last set of minutes, 13.4 on page 133 is the Hanover Walkerton Waste Management Committee minutes. Deputy Mayor Dickert.
Thank you, Your Worship. The committee discussed and recommends that the landfill fees effective January 21st of 2006 go from for garbage that is sorted, $145 to $148 a ton. Non-sorted from $290 to $296, and non-hazardous industrial waste go from $290 to $296 as well. So that's about a 2% increase. Our cell 3 work is on time and on budget at this time. You will note there was discussion on the Blue Box program and how we'll handle the multi-residential and ICI, industrial, commercial, and institutional sectors. And as of this meeting, it was a work in progress, and we will be expecting a staff report in the near future that will address that. The committee does support the need to make sure all residential Blue Box recycling questions be directed to waste management, and it is their project, so it's up to them to have the answers for us, and just want to make sure everybody's aware of that. And our annual Household Hazardous Waste Day is Saturday, October 18th, from 10 in the morning till 2 in the afternoon. It's at the Public Works Yard on 14th Ave.
Very good. And I don't see any hands raised, so it's been moved by Councillor Hocking, seconded by Councillor Hudson, that the information that we just was highlighted is to receive and approve the recommendations contained in the minutes that were just highlighted. All in favor? That is carried. So item 14 is bylaws. We have 5 bylaws, and I will ask for a mover and seconder before I ask the clerk for the intent of the bylaws. Councillor Fleet and Deputy Mayor Dickert. Vicky?
Thank you, Your Worship, and through you, bylaw number 3348-25 is a bylaw to amend zoning bylaw 2912-15, being the comprehensive zoning bylaw of the town of Hanover. Bylaw number 3349-25 is a bylaw to amend zoning bylaw 2912-15, being the comprehensive zoning bylaw of the town of Hanover. And bylaw 3350-25 is a bylaw to amend, again, the zoning bylaw 2912-15, being the comprehensive zoning bylaw of the town of Hanover. Bylaw 3351-25 is a bylaw to appoint an external auditor for the town of Hanover. And bylaw number 3352-5 is a bylaw to authorize the town of Hanover to enter into a borrowing agreement with the Federation of Canadian Municipalities through the Green Municipal Fund for the Net Zero Fire Station project.
Thank you, Vicky. So it's been moved by Councillor Fleet, seconded by Deputy Mayor Dickert, that bylaw numbers 3348-25 through to 3352-25 be introduced and that they be taken as read a first, second, and third time, finally passed, signed by the mayor and the clerk, sealed with the seal of the corporation, and inserted in the bylaw book. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? That is carried. Thank you. Item 15, we do not have any correspondence requiring action. Item 16, I'll ask if there's any notices of motion. Okay, item 17, good news and celebrations. We're going to start with Councillor Cable, if you have any.
Thank you, Your Worship. Certainly, I would like to highlight the volunteers who put together the fall market in the square. It was a fantastic event. I heard they had about 53 vendors who were there, and there was a waiting list, which is great to see Heritage Square used in that way, and to see so many people attending that local event with local vendors. So thank you to all the volunteers that make that event possible.
Thank you. Anyone else with good news and celebrations? Councillor Sackle.
Thank you, Your Worship. Well, I'd like to thank the organizers of the Saugeen Culture Bus Tour that Hanover residents were able to experience on Saturday. This is my second time doing this tour, and my husband and I had a great day. The Hanover Eat Well Market provided a wonderful lunch, and we learned a lot about Heritage Square and the Saugeen Municipal Airport. Our tour bus took us to a number of museums, galleries, a cafe, a cemetery with a very interesting history, and it was an opportunity to see places in Minto and North Wellington that many of us have never been to, and the other 2 busloads learned a lot more about Hanover at the same time. So I want to make a special thank you to April Marshall for all of her hard work to make the day such a success. And secondly, I'd like to speak about the Hanover Public Library, who hosted their annual book sale October the 2nd to October the 4th at Hope Community Church. Thanks to all who came out to support the library. We even had shoppers from as far away as London and Brampton. I'm told that people really enjoyed the 2 time slots that were offered on Thursday night this year because it wasn't as crowded as it was in previous years. This fundraiser made about $9,000, so I'd like to say a special thank you to all the volunteers who assisted in making the book sale such a success.
Very good. Anyone else? Councillor Hawking.
Thank you, Worship. Hats off to the Hanover District Hospital Foundation who held Sky Bingo at the Rob Olds hangar, and it was a great success. First time event for us, not a first time for bingo for them, but the location was ideal. Lots of positive comments. And I think you saw they raised over $26,000 that evening. And secondly, I'd like to thank April and her group for putting the Saugeen Municipal Airport as part of the tour. We had 3 different groups visit our airport on Saturday morning. Councillor Sacco mentioned Hanover, Minto, and Mount Forest. So it was great. And it's the only alarming thing to me is, oh, I didn't know this airport was here. You know, you try to you promote, but I guess these events just add more to the knowledge that we do have a great facility in our midst. So thanks again.
Were you able to yell out that you had a bingo or not?
I almost won the big card, but one left, and then somebody took my Doppler at the end of the evening, so I came home with nothing.
Anyone else? All right. Oh, Carol. Oh, sorry, Councillor Hudson. See?
Thank you, Your Worship. I just wanted to congratulate all that were involved in the library newcomer event. That was a very fun day. Some good dance moves out of my, fellow colleagues over here. And to see that many different people that probably have maybe never been into the library, and just a fun event for all. And Chief Noel also did some great performance. So he made himself familiar to our newcomers as well. So it was a very well done day, and kudos to those that did that.
There I am. I still have my microphone on. Yes, the chief has he's a good dancer. So, and so are some of our other councillors and the deputy mayor. So it wasn't just the chief. So they've got rhythm. So I don't. That's why I wasn't dancing. I have no rhythm. Anyone else with good news? I just want to share that a reminder, Hazardous Waste Day on October 18th. I'm going to try and get there. I've been trying to get there for like 3 years, and this is the year I'm going to do it because I'm tired of looking at this stuff in my shed. So, and don't forget the Mayor's Breakfast on October 15th, 7:45. Promises to be an exciting event with some really good panelists and an update of what's happening in Hanover. And of course, the Legion Auxiliary will be putting on their breakfast, and it's always very good. So, all right, Sherry.
Just a reminder to our residents that the new carts for recycling pickup start this week, October 9th. So you should have received a cart at your house. I did at mine, and I'm pleasantly surprised how little space the recycling takes up in 2 weeks in the cart compared to our bins. So, and again, as Deputy Mayor Dickert noted through the waste management, if you have questions or clarifications, to reach out to waste management directly, and all of that information is available on the town website.
Councillor Hudson.
I just have a question regarding the Mayor's Breakfast. Will it be taped so that the presenters, it could be watched by community members, or if some of us miss it or something?
Good suggestion. No, it's not taped. We'll have to note that and see if that's something we can consider in the future. We'd have to hire somebody to do the taping. Yeah, I'll note that, and we'll put that in our to be considered for future use.
I just think that there's a lot of members of the community that maybe don't know a lot about those particular businesses, and the more people know, the more we can promote our own town.
You're thinking this is for anyone who can't make it as such? 'Cause
Anyone that
anybody
can't
can
make it.
go.
Yes,
Yeah.
no, I understand. Like personally, I will be leaving before they start to speak, so.
We can always get someone with a phone just sitting there. Not me.
Yeah.
Okay, item 18 is upcoming meetings. These, the dates and meetings are listed on the agenda and our website. And item 19 are, oh, Deputy Mayor Dickert.
Yes, just want to note that the Saugeen Mobility meeting is October 10th, not 17th. That's, the information was right. It's been changed. So thank you.
Okay, good. The important dates and announcements, item 19, our next regular council meeting is Monday, October 20th at 4 p.m. and the mayor's breakfast, of course, which I just mentioned. And we do have a closed meeting, and it is recommended that the council of the town of Hanover meet in closed session in order to address a matter pertaining to a trade secret or scientific, technical, commercial, financial, or labor relations information supplied in confidence to the municipality or local board, which, if disclosed, could reasonably be expected to prejudice significantly the competitive position or interfere significantly with the contractual or other negotiations of a person, group of persons, or organization pertaining to a possible development. I need a mover and seconder. Councillor Hocking, Councillor Hudson, all in favor? Thank you.